Well, Tiger is the most talented golfer that ever lived. If Tiger Woods never had a lesson from another pro in his life, never had another lesson, just left what he had, he would have won 20, 22, 24 majors.
I am James, and this is Golf Relived. He can't swing. That is what Gary Player said about one of the best golfers alive. And Player did not stop there. He went after 5 major winners, men who held trophies, stood on podiums, and made history. But in Player's eyes, they all left something much bigger behind. They wasted it. They ruined it. They never became what they could have been. And Player, one of only 5 men to ever win all 4 major championships, had no problem saying it out loud. Gary Player is not a man who softens his words. He is the Black Knight. He is the man who still does 1,000 push-ups a day in his late 80s. He flew millions of miles, competed on every continent, and built his body like a machine when no one else in golf even thought about fitness. When Player talks, he is not guessing. He is measuring. And the measuring stick he uses is brutal. He calls it the Grand Slam audit. You either fulfilled your God-given talent or you did not. Player has one core belief. There are 2 kinds of talent. The first is natural talent. That is the raw gift. The ability to hit a golf ball, to feel the game, to do things that other people simply cannot do. The second is applied talent. That is the discipline, the knowledge, the mental strength to take that raw gift and turn it into something lasting. Player believes that without applied talent, natural talent is almost worthless. He has seen too many gifted players rise fast and collapse early, and 5 of them he has called out by name. 5 major winners who, in Gary Player's opinion, never truly became what they should have been. Now, if you want to see more content like this, do us a favor right now and give the video some hype. That small action tells the platform this is worth watching, and it helps us keep making golf content that actually goes deep. Now, back to the audit. We are counting down from number 5 to number 1. The names get bigger, the claims get bolder. And by the time we reach number 1, you will understand exactly what Player means when he says a trophy is temporary, but wasted potential is permanent. Number 5, Tom Weiskopf. Tom Weiskopf had one of the most beautiful golf swings the world has ever seen. Fans loved watching him. Peers respected him. He was tall, smooth, and effortless. He had the kind of mechanics that coaches dream about, and Gary Player looked at all of that beauty and said it still was not enough. Because Player's claim about Tom Weiskopf is one of the most stunning in golf history, Player said, and these are his words, Tom Weiskopf was much better than Nicklaus. Tom Weiskopf was so good, won 1 major, because, and he admitted it, he said he just didn't have here what it was necessary. He should have won many, many majors. Read that again. Much better than Nicklaus. Jack Nicklaus, the Golden Bear, the man with 18 major championships. Player is saying Weiskopf was physically superior to that man. And yet Weiskopf walked away from his career with 1 major title, the 1,973 Open Championship, won. So what happened? Player's answer is cold and simple. Weiskopf did not have the mind for it. Not the skill, not the swing, the mind. The part of you that holds it together on Sunday afternoon when the whole world is watching and your hands want to shake. Weiskopf even admitted this himself. He said he lacked what was necessary in the mind to go head-to-head with Nicklaus and win. That admission in Player's framing is the clearest proof of all. You can have the greatest swing in the history of the sport, and if the psychological foundation is not there, the trophies will not come. Player's lesson from Weiskopf is that talent in golf is often misidentified. People watch a beautiful swing and assume greatness will follow. Player says that is wrong. Competitive grit is the real talent. Mental fortitude is the real talent, and Weiskopf had a void where that fortitude should have lived. A perfect swing, a hollow result. That is the tragedy of Tom Weiskopf. Number 4, Jordan Spieth. Let us be honest about Jordan Spieth. When he burst onto the scene, he looked unstoppable. He was clutch. He was creative. He read greens like he had a map no one else could see. His short game was a work of art. He won the Masters. He won the U.S. Open. He won the Open Championship. The world was watching a future legend being born. Gary Player watched too. And Player said something that turned heads. He called Spieth the best golfer in the world, highest praise possible. And then came the other part. Player said, Jordan Spieth, I think he is the best golfer in the world, but man, he just can't hit the ball. In my opinion, he was taught the wrong thing and he just went downhill. That is a tragedy. He can't hit the ball. The best golfer in the world cannot hit the ball. That is a sentence that almost does not make sense. But Player was not speaking loosely. He was pointing at something very specific. The bowed wrist. That technical position at the top of the backswing that Player believes was installed or ignored by Spieth's coach. Player believes this single flaw made it almost impossible for Spieth to strike the ball with the consistency a top player needs to sustain greatness over a long career. Player's indictment goes beyond Spieth himself. He blames the coaching. He says Spieth was taught the wrong thing and then taken down a path he could not easily walk back from. Player even suggests that if someone like Ben Hogan had coached Spieth, Spieth would be the undisputed best player on earth right now. Instead, the wrong instruction planted a seed of mechanical failure that grew over time and choked the game. This is also a bigger statement about modern golf coaching. Player has said that American golf pros today know less about the golf swing than players of previous generations did. He calls it a tremendous lack of knowledge. The rise of technology, launch monitors, data screens, and swing analysis tools has, in players' view, replaced real understanding with numbers. Coaches and players look at screens instead of learning the actual mechanics of how the club and body should work together. The result is players who are dependent on outside voices, who cannot fix themselves when things go wrong mid-round at a major on Sunday. Spieth's story, in Player's telling, is what happens when a supremely talented golfer is let down by the system around him. The player did not fail the game. The game's coaching culture failed the player, and the tragedy is that a generational talent may never reach the ceiling that was always within his reach. Number 3. Seve Ballesteros. Now we move into the territory of golf legends. Seve Ballesteros is one of the most loved golfers in history. He brought magic to the sport. He turned impossible situations into birdie opportunities. He played from car parks, from under trees, from places no one else would even attempt. He won 5 major championships. He inspired an entire continent to fall in love with golf. The man was pure genius. And Gary Player looked at all of that and said something that shocked the golf world. Player said, "Do you know who knew the least about the golf swing? Ballesteros. I played with him at Troon as a young man, and he wasn't even a 10 handicap. He had no idea what he was doing. No idea. Not even a 10 handicap in understanding the swing." That is Gary Player's verdict on a 5-time major champion. It is one of the most provocative statements in the history of the sport. But here is what Player actually means. He is not saying Seve was not gifted. He is saying Seve's gift was pure feel, and feel without knowledge is a house built on sand. Seve could create shots that defied explanation because he had an extraordinary natural sense of the game, but he could not explain why those shots worked. He did not understand the mechanics behind his own ball flight. And that, Player argues, made him very limited as a long-term competitor. Player's theory is simple. When your game is built on feel and your timing starts to go, you have no tools to fix it. You cannot self-correct if you do not understand why something is going wrong. A player with real technical knowledge can stand on the 10th hole of a major and make an adjustment. A player who only has feel is stuck hoping the feel comes back on its own. And that is exactly what happened to Seve. His early career was a blaze of genius. His long game, his creativity, his short game, all of it worked when his timing was on. But as he got older and the timing faded, Seve had no blueprint to return to. His swing fell apart in ways he could not diagnose. His major wins dried up. The collapse was directly connected, in Player's view, to that technical vacuum hidden beneath the dazzling shot-making. Player respects Seve, that much is clear, but respect does not stop the audit. 5 majors is a remarkable career. Player's point is that a more technically literate version of Seve Ballesteros could have dominated the sport for 30 years. Instead, the world got a short, brilliant burst of genius followed by a painful decline. Genius touch. Empty blueprint. That is Player's summary of one of golf's greatest ever. Number 2, John Daly. And now we arrive at the name that Player uses more than any other when he talks about wasted talent. John Daly. Big John. The man who came from nowhere, drove the ball a mile, smoked, drank, and charmed an entire sport with his personality. Daly won the 1,991 PGA Championship as the last alternate in the field. He won the Open Championship in 1995. He was a folk hero. Fans adored him. Galleries followed him everywhere. Gary Player looked at John Daly and saw something extraordinary. Not just a good golfer, not just a big hitter. Player called Daly the most naturally talented golfer he ever witnessed in his entire life. Ever. From anyone. That is the highest possible praise from one of the sport's greatest legends. And then Player said this: "If Daly worked like Tiger Woods works, he would have gone down as the greatest player who ever lived. He had a phenomenal future, and in my opinion, he ruined it. The greatest player who ever lived. Not one of the greats. The greatest. Ever. And he ruined it." Player's argument about Daly has 2 parts. The first is personal. The lifestyle, the drinking, the gambling, the physical neglect. Daly made choices that eroded his body and his game in ways that became impossible to reverse. These were not just personal decisions. They were professional liabilities. They cut short a career that had no ceiling. But Player's second argument is about the sport itself. He says professional golf enabled Daly. Instead of demanding the highest standards, the tour and the media turned Daly's self-destructive habits into entertainment. The rebel image, the grip it and rip it persona, the wild lifestyle, all of it was commercialized. Daly became a folk hero because of his personality, not despite it. And in doing that, the sport around him removed any pressure to be better. No one held him accountable. No one demanded the push-ups, the strict diet, the professional maintenance. They made money from the spectacle instead. Player is deeply critical of that dynamic. He has spent his entire career arguing that a professional golfer is a specialized athlete. The body is the tool. The swing is the machine. Both must be maintained with discipline and intelligence. Daly's career is what happens when the system fails an athlete by treating his self-destruction as content instead of as a crisis. Think about what Player is actually saying. The most naturally talented golfer Player ever saw, given the same work ethic as Tiger Woods. And Player believes that combination would have produced the single greatest career in the history of the sport, not just a great career, the greatest ever, instead 2 majors, and an extraordinary gift quietly and slowly ruined. Number 1, Tiger Woods. And here we are. The biggest name in the history of the sport, Tiger Woods. 15 major championships. A career so dominant that it changed the game forever. A man who inspired an entire generation to pick up a golf club. A man who, at his peak, was so far ahead of the field that winning felt inevitable. Gary Player calls Tiger the most talented golfer who ever lived. Full stop. No qualifications. The most talented ever. And then Player says something that reframes everything you thought you knew about Tiger's career. Player says that after Tiger won the 2000 U.S. Open by 15 shots, the greatest single performance in the history of the sport, Tiger should have stopped taking lessons from anyone for the rest of his career. Player said it directly. Tiger Woods, if he never had a lesson from another pro in his life, if he never had another lesson, just left what he had, he would have won 20, 22, 24 majors. 20, 22, or 24 majors. Tiger retired with 15. Player is saying that the coaching changes, the decisions to move from one instructor to the next, introduce problems that did not exist before. Tiger had already reached perfection at the 2000 U.S. Open. Any intervention after that, in Player's view, was not refinement, it was damage. This is the most counterintuitive idea in this entire countdown. Tiger Woods, the most hard-working, most dedicated, most obsessive practitioner in the sport's history, was hurt by working too hard on the wrong things. He kept trying to optimize something that was already optimized. And in that pursuit, the natural genius that produced 15 majors and one of the greatest performances in golf history was slowly unwound by the very process meant to improve it. Player also points at the people around Tiger. The management, the advisors, the yes-men. Player argues that the people in Tiger's circle were too afraid to say no. Too afraid to tell Tiger that changing coaches was a mistake. Too afraid to push back against decisions quietly costing Tiger his legacy. A truly disciplined team would have protected him from those choices. Instead, fear of his power meant no one said the hard thing, and the cost was measured in majors never won. Player is not dismissing what Tiger achieved. 15 majors is an astonishing number, but Player is asking you to imagine 24. He is asking you to sit with the idea that the greatest golfer who ever lived, with the right decisions and the right people around him, could have built a record so untouchable that no one would ever come close again. Instead, the world got 15. And in Player's ledger, the gap between 15 and 24 is not just numbers. It is the cost of choices, the cost of hubris, the cost of a system that did not know when to stop. Now, before we close, there is one broader point Player makes that ties all 5 stories together. He sees a modern golf culture that has lost its way. Swing gurus who create dependency instead of self-sufficiency. Equipment advances that let players avoid fixing real problems. Tours and formats that reward short-term thinking over lasting excellence. He holds up Ben Hogan as the standard, a man who combined unbreakable mechanical knowledge with an unbreakable will. Across all 5 names, the mechanisms differ. Weiskopf lacked the mental edge. Spieth was failed by his coaching. Ballesteros had genius without knowledge. Daly had talent without discipline. Tiger had perfection but kept searching for more. 5 different roads, same destination, a gap between what was and what could have been. But here is the hopeful part. Player's entire framework, the Black Knight's Grand Slam audit, is not just criticism. It is a lesson. Because Player draws a clear line between natural talent, which you are born with, and applied talent, which you build, and applied talent is available to everyone, discipline can be built. Knowledge can be learned. Mental strength can be developed. Accountability can be chosen. The good news is those parts can be built, every single one of them. That is the real takeaway from Gary Player's harshest verdicts. Raw talent is a starting point, not a destination. The players who make their gifts count are the ones who pair them with work, with knowledge, and with honesty about their own weaknesses. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please like the video and subscribe to Golf Relived. Drop a comment below and tell us which of these 5 you think had the most wasted potential. We would love to hear from you. See you in the next one.